One of the problems I see about Gen Zers, they're not frugal enough. They almost seem like that they'll always have a lot of money, even when they don't have a lot of money. They have to change their thinking.
That was CNBC host and out of touch rich guy who did not see the 2008 financial collapse coming, giving us advice on what to do with our finances. Hopefully you weren't taking his advice in the lead up to the 2008 meltdown, but nonetheless, he has some sage words of advice for young people. Buy 1 margarita instead of 3, and all your economic woes will just disappear. Let's watch.
I'm not saying, you know what, don't go out. I am not saying only thin gruel. I'm not saying that everyone must be raw men. But what I am saying is, don't spend some money each week that you shouldn't have. Now, why do I say this? Well, I own a bar, and I saw money spent as if it grew on a tree. I saw 5 $14 margaritas, one person. I saw multiple beers to the point where it was $40. And when I talk to them, I always say, listen, why don't you order this? This is just as good. They say, we're having a good time. That's what life's about. And it is about that when you're young. But you gotta project. You're not always gonna be young. Don't have that second margie, the third margie.
There are substantive points to make, and we're about to make those substantive points. But first, I have to make a point about gender in the broadcasting industry. The low standards for male broadcasters relative to the standards for female broadcasters is very evident in the segment that you just watched, featuring Jim Cramer, who has done a pretty terrible job in terms of telling people how to invest. Remember, he just totally did not see the financial collapse coming in 2008. And
yeah.
And on top of that, why do you talk like that?
I'm guessing it is a medical. I don't know. I don't watch him. I don't know.
I like that you're guessing it's a medical thing, but no, that is how he has talked on the show, on his show for a long time. It's like this weird tenor, tone, whatever.
I feel like it's gotten worse. It feels like a progressive medical. I don't know.
Maybe.
I have
Look,
no idea.
If he's got medical issues, okay, apologies, but he's always had a way of talking that's been weird. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
I just don't see women getting away with that. Anyway,
he also has a way of talking in that segment that is highly offensive and condescending to younger people struggling 100%. In an economy that he refuses to critique in a substantive way.
100%, exactly. And the fact that he's unwilling to critique the economy in a substantive way probably led to him not seeing the 2008 financial collapse coming. But nonetheless, let's put that aside because he has some points to make about student loans. Goody, let's watch.
When you confront him, you say, but student loans. I said, okay, so now, on the one hand, you're saying you're allowed to have all the margaritas you want. But on the other hand, you say, I can't invest, I have student loans. I think that's counterintuitive. Younger people have to learn to be more frugal. I think you have to anticipate harder times and accept the fact that if you spend all that money drinking $14 craft martinis that Jim Cramer made, he may not have enough to retire.
Okay, so he does make martinis, sort of.
He makes them?
Not he himself. I'm gonna skip ahead because he keeps.
I was a bartender. This is a erasure of actual bartenders.
You're right. I'm sorry. He is the individual who employs the people making the martinis because he actually does have a restaurant.
Yeah, he has a restaurant.
So this
he didn't make it.
No, of course he
didn't
make it.
You didn't make that.
He did not make it. Okay, but it also explains why he's so obsessed with margaritas and how much they cost. Those exorbitant margarita prices. What are we gonna? Yeah, okay, so let's take a look at the margaritas at his establishment. This is a Mexican restaurant in New York which sells $13 margs or $15 if you want a skinny margarita, which sounds a little wrong, right?
That it costs more?
That looking to cut a few cows means that you're gonna have to pay more. I think that's unacceptable. But of course, anyone who's like worried about those kinds of things, they'll probably shell out additional money, and he's taking advantage of that.
Yeah, why does he do that? Since he's obviously so worried about these people, why doesn't he lower his prices and stop price gouging on the calorie counters?
I respect the fact that he's discouraging people from frequenting his establishment and from purchasing the margaritas that he's selling. By the way, there's also a $17 margarita known as the Gran Maestro Jim. Not interested. Okay, so look.
I'll try it.
Should people be aware of their spending and make smart decisions? Yes, okay, so if you have to tighten your belt, great. My problem is when these clowns think that avoiding margarita purchases or denying yourself the pleasure of avocado toast means that you can buy a multi-million-dollar home on wages that have been stagnant since the 1970s.
Yeah.
That is my problem.
Back when he was 30.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kidding.
I don't know how old he is.
I have no idea. I don't really care. So here's the issue. It's not that there isn't necessarily something to the advice in theory, but the source obviously does matter and context does matter. His whole job is to give people financial advice in one form or another. That's his job, and it has been for literally decades. And the advice he has for young people isn't just constrain your spending. It seems to be even more hyper specific. Stop drinking margaritas as much as you do, which might be fine if you put it in the context of other critiques of the system, as we talked about. The equivalent that I can come up with is, imagine if I was the host on TV of an environmental show, and all we talked about was the environment and climate change. I've done this for decades, and literally all I do is tell people to not use plastic straws. That's it. And I do it day after day after day.
So
in fact, don't put them in your margaritas, and that's it. I never have anything else to say about what's causing climate change or wrecking the environment. It is all individual consumer decisions that you are making.
So you're saying, what if you were a mainstream corporate Democrat?
Well, in that case, I wouldn't talk about climate change really at all.
Right,
but
good point.
Exactly, yeah, that's fine. And by the way, you should make those changes. You know, I switched to recyclable K-cups or whatever. You can do that stuff. You can get a hybrid. You can do all of those individual things. That's great. Let's be a part of the solution together. But that doesn't make that the solution. You have to acknowledge the system. And I'm not saying that Jim Cramer isn't like responsible for the system, but he has a platform.
He's a cheerleader for that system.
Yes, he has done very well under that system.
Yes, exactly. And look, he mentioned student loans. So look, we can't help but give you the data about the reality, because it's one thing to bitch about the system. It's an entirely different thing to provide the receipts for what we're talking about here. So when it comes to student loans, over the last 30 years, tuition costs at 4-year colleges, public 4-year colleges, like the one I went to, grew from $4,160 to $10,740. Okay, more than doubled. And from $19,360 to $38,070 at private nonprofit institutions, adjusted for inflation. As costs have risen, so has the need for student loans and other forms of financial aid. Today, more than half of students leave school with debt, because how else would you pay for it?
I don't know.
How else?
Be born rich, that would be my advice.
I mean, I remember I ended up going to a state school. I applied to 2 schools, USC and CSUN, which I ended up going to. I ended up saying, even though I got into USC, I didn't end up going because it was too expensive. And my parents are like, sorry, we're not gonna let you take out loans. We can't afford USC. And looks like CSUN's offering you a scholarship, right? So I ended up going to CSUN, and that was the right choice. But the fact that back then, this is 2004, USC was charging $45,000 then.
Oh my, wait, USC, oh.
USC, no, CSUN, you know, it was, I mean, I got a scholarship, so I was good for undergrad. For graduate school, prices started going up. Graduate school is usually more expensive anyway, but it was still, honestly, nothing compared to what it is today.
Yeah.
See, like, I'm able to look at what prices were, what tuition was not too long ago, and acknowledge that I got to benefit from a public university that had lower tuition.
Yeah.
But Jim Cramer's like, I don't know, bro. These freaking kids, they want to better themselves. I don't know.
It's probably them margs.
What are you doing?
That's probably what it is.
What are you doing? Just shut up. If you don't know what's going on with the economy, you're not qualified to opine on what people should do for their financial health.
Well, that is a good point, but can I actually have the front page of this?
Sure.
Okay, it's unfortunately not there. Okay, so no, it is. So asking him if he's not, like, obviously not really up to the task to step down, he's probably not gonna do that. The issue seems to be that he can't understand the context because I have to assume, based on what I'm seeing, he doesn't have any producers. He just goes up there with no research done and just talks. But it looks like Kate produced this.
Yes.
You could use her. Maybe.
No.
I'm not saying he can have her.
Stay away from
I'm
Kate,
saying
you monster.
What we should
stay
do.
away from her.
What we should do is, you know how
mine.
like a fancy chef will stage at another restaurant? He'll go and they'll learn and they'll teach each other and stuff like that. It benefits everybody. This is to him and also to Kate. Kate, he desperately needs your help, clearly, to understand the plight of young people. So what about 2 weeks?
You're a terrible
alone?
person.
It might be important for the future of our economy.
Jim, hey Jim, watch the show, okay? And you stay away from
And
me.
he'll learn that stuff, yeah.
You stay away.
I'm just saying he could desperately use the help. And it ain't that difficult. I'm sure the show budget must be crazy high.
Damage report competition up in here, okay? Trying to rob me of my producers. How dare you?
He needs a qualified producer just for a couple weeks. Learn how it's done. She could train them up there.
You need to back up, Idarola. Okay. All right. Let's. I got real.
You're getting a little nervous there. I don't think this is gonna happen.
I don't think Kate would take that job.
I'm not saying she should work there. I'm saying visit, teach.
Sure, John Warderola.
Thank you, Emma and Bart. Just train up their producers in how to do this, how to add context. By the way, it won't just make his commentary more accurate. He will almost certainly get more viewers.
Yeah.
Doesn't he ever want to have a viewer under 65? I believe it's possible for him to get one with the right producers.
We got to move on. We got, especially if you want to have that scooter conversation.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. By the way, Kate has weighed in.
Oh no.
I'm not helping Jim Cramer. Don't fret. Love it.
Okay, I buy it. Okay.
All right. Yes.